Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and once again, it's time for a trip into the Star Wars universe. And today, we're taking a look at one of the all-time greatest character designs within the entire franchise. There's really a few names that should jump out at you when you mention that, but really the number one should always be Darth Vader, and that's who we're going to be taking a look at today. From Diamond Select and sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios, we have Darth Vader's 1/6 scale bust based on his appearance in the Obi-Wan show on Disney+. This resin mini bust is limited to only 3,000 pieces, so it comes with a hefty price tag due to that and also due to the material used to make it. The question here that we're going to try to answer is whether or not this is worth adding to your collection. We're going to take a closer look at the statue itself in a few moments, but first I just want to talk about this box here, and let's get that out of the way because it's not exactly the most interesting, and for the most part, the Diamond Select Star Wars resin boxes are never that curious to look at. Like all the others, it's a basic cube shape, no windows, no way to look inside it. The best that you get though is images of the statue on 3 of the sides, and that image actually rotates with it as you move the box. And that kind of shows you that the emphasis for the packaging is meant to be the statue and not really any bells and whistles or cool graphic design work. As far as the back of the packaging goes, we get a very short bio that seeks to contextualize when this version of Darth is coming to us. It doesn't really give us a ton about Kenobi though, but it does tell us at least, where the headspace is of this version of Darth Vader. And besides that, it also gives us some information about the production process of this, a reminder that this is limited to 3,000 pieces, and that's basically it. Unlike a lot of the Diamond Select PVC pieces, those will credit the artists, but the resin pieces, they never do that for whatever reason. So that's pretty much a look at the box. It's not the most interesting, but I'm pretty sure this Darth is going to be very interesting because he's doing a force choke, looks like. We'll get into that in a second. So yeah, let's go ahead, get this Darth Vader out of the packaging, and take a closer look at him from all angles. Alright, and here's our Darth Vader out of the box, ready to go, but he actually seems a little incomplete, doesn't he, at this moment? So yeah, you might be noticing, before I do anything else, is that yeah, he's missing a hand here. What's up with that? Well, the fun thing about this piece is that you actually get 2 different hands to put with your Darth Vader statue. So one option is this one here, which is him kind of doing a little squeezy squeeze. It's almost like he's going, oh look, you're so tiny, you're so small. But in reality, this is more kind of like a force squeeze, if you will. So yeah, we're just going to pop this on for a second, and there we go. Yeah, you can do it with one hand, which is pretty cool. So these are held together by magnets. We'll show you the other hand in a little bit, but yeah, 2 hands, which is always very fun to have. So let's go ahead now and give Darth a spin as I give you guys my initial thoughts on this statue here. And kind of go a little more in depth on Darth here. Not too long ago on the channel, we did look at another Darth Vader statue, and this one was meant to be Darth straight out of Star Wars A New Hope, Episode 4. And I really, really love that statue. It had a lightsaber. It was really cool. Like, that to me was the ideal Darth Vader mini bust. But this one here, it definitely is a contender. And to be honest, I don't really think there's too many bad Darth Vader anything when it comes to toys, statues, anything out there really. If it's got Darth, it's usually gotta be good because the design of Darth is just so strong. So really, it's what you do with it that matters. And Diamond has figured out a lot of great things to do with these characters. So as we finish the rotation here, you can just see like how good this piece is looking from so many angles. And they did a great job in Obi-Wan as well. So I think we're going to see a lot of familiar pieces from what you've seen with other Darth statues, but they'll have their own thing that's going to make them a little bit different. Now, I know my Star Wars, but I'm not that giant of a Star Wars fan, so I can't tell you every little difference between the buttons that you're seeing here versus what was on screen in Star Wars A New Hope. But I do see a few differences already with some of these buttons. We'll get into that, I think, as we go along here, and you guys can hopefully in the comments explain what everything does. But let's talk first about the likeness of our Vader. Does it look like Darth Vader? Oh, yes it does. Again, there's so few bad versions of Darth's likeness because look at that. It's such a cool design. And this is, as always, no exception to that. Now, they're not really reinventing the wheel here when it comes to Darth's face or anything that has to do with his helmet, but what they're doing is just keeping it simple, keeping it classic. So the dome here on top has a nice, reflective, very shiny black finish to it, glossy finish. His face also is fairly glossy because, after all, he is machine at this point, more or less. So you've got a lot of nice details, but you can see there are different shades of black as well. I'm hoping that shows up for you guys. But what you're seeing here is, this is a very deep dark black on top. This is more of a dark, very, very, very dark gray shade. And it's a different kind of metallic shine as well. And, there's a lot of black on this Darth Vader piece. That's what makes it so cool, too, is how they use all the blacks. But, yeah, you can really see just how cool this is and how nicely sculpted and put together it is. And also, a nice little bit of detail there is his eyes, which again, I know this is a very, very dark character to look at, but I'm hoping you guys can see that if you get real close in there, yes, they're black, but something there almost looks a little bit red. I don't know if that's just something nearby that's reflecting into it, but there seems to be just something different going on with those eyes, something a little special. So that's kind of a nice little thing that's in there. And that makes it really kind of pop a little bit more too. You need to look at it more, of course, but it's definitely in there. Like something is definitely special about those eyes. And of course, as always, gotta love all the little vents and stuff that are in his mouthpiece there. So yeah, really, really well done here. Man, such great sculpting. Like, I love the way the light really hits all the different parts of the statue's face too. Like, I could really just stare at this all day, and it really makes me want to get a Darth Vader bust of just like the head really. So yeah, maybe that's gonna be next, but let's go ahead and move on down this body now, and let's talk some more about all of his wardrobe. So as I mentioned, I think this Darth is a little bit different looking than the previous one that we looked at, because keep in mind, you know, Star Wars New Hope would still be a few years later after this point in Darth, so he's still probably figuring out all of his technology. So I feel like a lot of the stuff in the belt we aren't going to see later on with Darth. Like, I think the chest piece is more or less identical, but I think it's these guys that are different. I don't know if that's a fact or not. You guys can let me know in the comments. But regardless of how different or how samey they are, they're still very, very, very cool to look at with so much great detail. The detail is absurd on this, really. I mean, they're very, very tiny little things, and these are all hand-painted, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure this little bit here is a decal, but still, it's so small. Imagine having to deal with that. But there's this really nice, great pops of red, silver, and green. And again, that really nice grid pattern. Like, it adds a lot to it. And likewise, on the opposite side, we have basically a very, very similar panel here. Same kind of thing. You know, for the most part, probably is actually the same. I think the button layout might be a little bit different. Like, this one over here is actually pushed in. The rest are pointing up. So that's interesting. And the belt buckle as well. I think this is, again, also the same as we saw in the New Hope. I don't quite know, but it looks pretty cool to me. And again, there's that chest thing, whatever the heck this thing is going to be for, I assume, his breathing and such, which, again, just really cool. But even beyond that, you know, as you just start to look at the rest of the outfit, you can see more of like the detail in the fabric especially. I feel like it's more noticeable here, actually, just how the fabric is. And it almost kind of really goes back to those Ralph McQuarrie samurai roots of the costume. So really nice job on that. And I also like this part of the cowl. It's kind of, you know, following us down here from the helmet, which, you know, great shiny versions of black, wonderful silver. You can also see the chain that connects his cape, which we need to talk about that too, I think, because the cape is just out of this world. I mean, really, it is from a galaxy far, far away after all, but look at how cool this cape is. This cape is something. It is so dramatic, which is perfect for a guy like Darth Vader, am I right? Also wonderful to talk about here is the quilted texture on his arms. This is one of the cool things about Vader and his outfit, is he has this quilted armor, which is a great texture to touch and to feel. Like, this just feels wonderful. And that's, again, another one of the cool things about Darth is there's so much different tactile things to play with on the statue here. So yeah, if you're someone who's vision impaired or just wants to touch your pieces, I mean, you know, because it's cool to have them be standing up straight and just looking at them, but there's a lot more to them, and having all these little but there's a lot more to them, and having all these nooks and crannies really helps with how it absorbs and reflects light, casts shadow better, and just add more dimension, literally, to a three-dimensional piece. Now, we already talked a little about the hands here, so this other hand we should mention here, his left hand, this is solid. That is part of him. It's not coming off anytime soon, but it is his right hand that does come off and removes itself. We can do that right here. So there you go. If you want to chop off his hand, you can do that to Darth. But more importantly, his other hand is a fist. This is a closed fist, so you could fist pump to some house music later on in the evenings. But yeah, also magnetic. You saw that kind of just like went right into place, almost like magic a little bit there. There we go. And yeah, I used the Force to put that fist into his hand. But yeah, that's pretty cool too. I don't know which one I prefer, honestly, on him, because they both look really good. I think I'm actually leaning towards the fist, though, because, I mean, this hand is cool and all, but I do like this fist more. It feels a lot more fight-like, and granted, you know, he is a Force user. It's not like he needs to have a closed fist. This makes sense if you're choking somebody, but I just like how angry that looks for this character, because to me, this feels like Darth is really angry, and it's hard to really tell that because this is a character that has no facial expressions. All you can really go off of is body language. So I think when you add the fist, this just tells me a lot about frustration and anger, and like here he is confronting Obi-Wan Kenobi, and like that's big. This is somebody hasn't really dealt with in a long time. He's a different person. He's still harboring a lot of resentment. So to me, this closed fist is the way to go to really tell the story of Obi-Wan. Now, last but not least, of course, we can't forget the base, which is not too exciting. It's the hockey puck, as always. The base is always going to be this hockey puck, and really nothing special. It's just nice, sturdy, stable. They don't really do any design work to it. It's just there. It's uniform across the entire line, and it's been this way for years. So, you know, that's fine. You know what you're getting. Does the job. And of course, on the bottom of the statue, we also have some of the information about the limited edition of this piece here. Again, this is limited to 3,000 pieces, and you also will get a little trading card certificate of authenticity when you open the box to make sure you've got all that info in as many ways possible. So top to bottom, no matter how you look at this Darth Vader piece, this is a knockout. I mean, there are, again, as I've said, no bad Darth Vader pieces. I really struggle to think of any that are bad, and this one definitely is not one of them. Now, when it comes to the decision of which Darth should you buy, because there's so many out there, you know, for me personally, I do like the lightsaber, but if this was an alternative, I'd be pretty happy with this. But again, I would consider this the runner-up to the version from A New Hope. But that said, it's still pretty cool to see this version of Darth, to have this kind of story being told with the character. And yes, there's a ton of similarities between this Darth and other Darths out there, but I feel like this is, you know, if you're a real Star Wars lore fanatic, I think this one's a little special because of that, and because of the setting and the story that takes place here, and the story that is shown in the piece, like I've already been saying throughout this entire video here. So, you know, I think this is a great piece, another real perfect Darth Vader piece in my opinion. You can't go wrong with any of them, so yeah, this is the newest one on the block. This is the newest Darth on the block. I'm going to give it a definite recommend. So if you want to check out this Darth Vader statue for yourself and add it to your collection, go ahead and check out my affiliate links in the description of this video below. If you click on any of those links, it helps out this YouTube channel at no extra cost to you. So until next time, that's our look at the Darth Vader Jabiim 1/6 scale mini bust from Diamond Select Toys and sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios. I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys here next time, and as always, may the Force be with you.